Welcome to my backyard. We actually call it the front yard. I don't know why. I'm here today to talk about Donkey Kong 64, but first, a quick story. Right underneath me lies the sewerage line from my house, and a few years ago, the old pipe split and there was human waste leaking out of the ground and flooding this area up against the fence. Now isn't that just the perfect analogy for this game? Square-eyed feces spewing from the ground like an overflowing bathtub, flooding up against a fence and seeping under onto a highway around a dead animal that is then smashed continuously by 50 trucks until all that is left is a rotten corpse that smells a little crappy. Or in other words, this game is fucking shit. In 1981, Shigeru Miyamoto was tasked by Nintendo to convert a mediocre arcade game known as Radar Scope into something more appealing to an American audience, and Donkey Kong was born, one of the most influential arcade games of all time. The game saw Jumpman facing off against the dumb ape to save his Princess Peach. Literally, Jumpman became Mario and Pauline became Peach. Blows my mind to think that Donkey Kong was an established character and game franchise before Mario. But while Mario saw great success, Donkey Kong faded away until the 1990s when the British company Rareware, known for classics like Battletoads, brought Donkey Kong Country to the Super Nintendo. The platforming gameplay was ball-blowingly fantastic, and the game's use of pre-rendered graphics and orgasmic music was revolutionary, putting DK back on the map for good. With two sequels appearing on the SNES, it came time to move on to newer hardware, the Nintendo 64. Rare released Banjo-Kazooie in mid-98 to boatloads of praise, and while I've not sat down and played the game properly, I have sampled the first two levels thanks to Rare Replay, and I'm quite impressed. It's the first time I've been jealous about not owning this console as a kid. A year later, Rare released Donkey Kong 64. They couldn't call it anything else? Not DK the New Adventure or Donkey Kong Country 3D? A stupid gimmick more infuriating, yet not as completely fucking stupid as this? Lazy bums.
Here we go. So the battle is performance for you. If you know the words, you can join in too.
Before we even get to the main menu, this shit starts up. As hilariously stupid as it is, it's quite catchy. I like it. The game starts off with K. Rool driving the most poorly designed warship in the world to DK Island, but the idiotic Kremlings crash the ship and damage their super weapon. So while the Kremlings attempt to repair the weapon, all of Donkey's friends are kidnapped and his hoard of golden bananas are stolen. Again. Because no one remembers when this happened before. Now I haven't even started playing the game yet, but so far it's quite promising. The voice acting in the opening cutscene is great, aside from K. Rool's Darth Vader breathing. The problem is that I've already got something to complain about. There is no voiceover. Call this a nitpick if you want, but I'd appreciate the game to be fully voiced over. The opening cutscene had it, so why not the rest of the game? I'm not annoyed at the lack of voiceover here, I'm annoyed by the lack of consistency. Another of Rare's N64 titles, Conker's Bad Fur Day, was fully voiced over, so it was clearly possible to do the full thing. Although, I wouldn't even be mentioning it if the opening cutscene wasn't voiced over. So we start off with DK at his treehouse, and the first thing I notice is that I fucking hate this console. Specifically this fucking thing. Look at it. What crack fiend came up with this? It's so phallic. You need a third arm attached to your chest just to use the damn thing. The N64's primary moving apparatus is the analog stick planted in the middle of the controller. Arrow buttons are only really used for menus. That brings up my first complaint about this controller. The stick is unreliable. Every controller I've ever owned for this system has had the stick stop working. I do my best to look after them, but it's kind of hard when I'm trying to play a game and I have to vigorously jerk the fucking thing back and forth. So to fix this, I replaced the thumbsticks with some GameCube style sticks, and it's so much better. But sorry Nintendo, it shouldn't be a fucking requirement for me to have to replace parts in your bullshit controller just so I can play your games. And look at this disaster over here. All of these yellow buttons, that's the C button. Yeah, this generally controls the camera, which is a requirement for a game like this. Too bad it's a fucking joke. People always laugh about the fact that the PlayStation controllers originally didn't have analog sticks, but now who's the stupid one? Because they were smart enough to realise, hey, maybe have two analog sticks, one to move around and the other to control the camera. This controller is a horrendous abomination and I fucking hate it. After completing the tutorial of how to drive this dopey monkey, we can start the game. There are only 7 proper levels, 8 if you count K. Rool's final level, as well as a barren overworld with more shit to discover. These levels are some of the worst I think I've played. They're all long, cryptic mazes that are boring to navigate and disgusting to look at. The colour palette for the levels is either green and brown, brown and grey, grey and blue, grey and black, or fucking orange. Hey everyone, welcome to the fucking orange level. Doesn't it look great? The variety of levels is also lacking. 2 jungle levels, 2 factory levels, the obligatory Egyptian level, a castle, and 2 cave levels that have a lot of water. What's that? Donkey Kong is known for arguably the best water levels in gaming history? Well, here is a dark underwater hallway that makes controlling the camera fucking impossible. Sounds like a cracker of a fucking time. I'm sorry, but where is the snow level? I liked snow levels. While I imagine it would be a bitch to control, at least I wouldn't have to look at a dark, depressing level for a change. Look at this factory, everything is black and grey. Industrial levels like this don't have to look hideous, kind of like the music in this game. I know hideous isn't a word that is normally associated with sound, but now it is. This game has hideous music. The music in the Donkey Kong Country games is phenomenal, but I'm afraid that style of music wouldn't work here. But that doesn't mean the music needs to be dull and generic. There is just no Donkey Kong flair to it. But the biggest fuck up with these levels is the amount of backtracking they require. I'm going to use Spyro as an example here because the gameplay styles are similar. In Spyro, you navigate through the level and when you reach the end, you normally find yourself back at the start. But here, you go all the way to the end of a level only to reach a dead fucking end and have to backtrack. None of the levels flow and it makes them annoying to play. There are teleport pads throughout to help you jump between areas, but half the time they're not where you need them to be, so you're forced to backtrack. Other times all I want is a fucking map because there are so many different areas, rooms and portals to remember, and when it actually gives me a map, it might as well be smeared with monkey shit because it's completely worthless. We can only play as DK to start off, but as we get through the first few levels, we can unlock Diddy Kong, Lanky Kong, Tiny Kong, and Chunky Kong. I love doing some stupid shit to rescue someone from a cage, only to have them teleport away once they're saved. Bastards. Each of these characters each have their own unique abilities and you can switch by jumping into these tag barrels. A big problem with games that feature multiple playable characters is that you generally find one that you like the most, while the others feel forced down your trousers, which really sucks because you're required to play heavily with each one. This game is a collectathon, meaning that the overall goal of the game is to collect Kong's 200 golden bananas. This is done by doing endless amounts of challenges within the levels. There are also coins to be collected along with regular bananas and banana coins. Let me tell you why this is a problem. Every character has different things to collect. Oh sorry, you can't get those green bananas because you're using the wrong character. That is the fatal flaw that breaks this fucking game. Why is it necessary? Why can't the coins and bananas just be shared between all of the characters? You find yourself backtracking constantly to collect everything and it gets old very quickly. And the worst part is, that isn't all. Coins are spent to purchase different abilities from Cranky for each Kong, which means backtracking to the store with each Kong to unlock all of their abilities, which there are so many of. Some abilities are used by standing on buttons or jumping into barrels. Each character also has a gun. Yeah, a fucking automatic weapon of mass destruction. These can be used to kill enemies, but they're mainly used for pressing switches. This is okay, but it's annoying when you find a switch with the wrong Kong and you have to find your way back with the correct character, only to open a door to an area that requires another Kong to complete a challenge. So now you need to collect ammo for your weapons, as well as grenades and crystal coconuts to power up barrel abilities. Each character has a separate inventory, so you end up with some characters with full power and others empty, which is just a pain in the ass. There are also these guys roaming around each level. Defeating them with the correct Kong awards you with a blueprint piece and a golden banana when you take them back to this guy Snide, the bloke who built K. Rool's weapon. But at the end of the day, it's just more shit to collect. It's like a shitty RPG, running around, keeping inventory, collecting stuff, visiting stores, and requiring different abilities to do shit. Oh, and I forgot to mention, each Kong has a musical fucking instrument as well, because that was totally necessary. Now you also have to keep an eye out for beats within levels to keep each character's musical instrument powered up. You have to go into Candy's store with each character to get your musical instrument, which is fine the first time, but it's like, hey, let me tell you what I told everyone else. I'm not for sale. So then you can finally figure out some music puzzle only to open a door that requires a different fucking character. Do you see my problem here? Using all of these different items requires you to use the C buttons, but they're so close together that I almost always press the wrong fucking one and either throw a grenade or jam out a tune when I'm actually trying to pull out my fucking feather cannon to stop a crazy horde of fucking badgers. At this point, I wish I could point the thing at my fucking head and pull the trigger, but no doubt I'd press the wrong fucking button and send my TV through my fucking window because this controller is a sad cunt. So is that all you do? Run around terrible levels attempting to collect shit? Yes. There is a boss in each level, and when you defeat them, you get a key which is used to unlock K. Lumsey, some dickhead Kremling. To open a boss stage, you need to feed Troff and Scoff regular bananas. The simplest and most common collectible that is both heavily required and also completely fucked over by requiring different characters to be used to get all of the bananas. It's a complete joke. Bananas don't cross over between levels either. It'd be easier trying to get a boogie board filled with drugs through border security. And then I have to sit here watching these fat bastards stuff their faces with my hard work. Thanks game, asshole. The bosses consist of things like a giant armadillo, a dragon thing, a jack-in-the-box, a puffer fish, the dragon again, the armadillo again, and a fucking cardboard cutout of K. Rool. The boss fights are actually one of the highlights of the game. They offer a hard but fair challenge, and some like the jack-in-the-box are actually quite memorable. Then you've got the K. Rool cutout boss, which is memorable for being shit. The boss fight sees the Kongs fire themselves out of a barrel to hit the boss. After you do this for a while, the boss moves so fast that he's impossible to hit, which results in Kongs being flung over the wall and can't be used again. What you're supposed to do is go into the barrel that lights up. Too bad I didn't notice it lighting up in a level where the screen is already flashing due to the fucking lightning. How fucking great is that? Once you defeat the boss and unlock another lock with K. Lumsey, a new area opens up. But before you can go in, you need a certain amount of golden bananas. That's all well and good, but in the second level you unlock Lanky, who can stretch his arms. Yeah, okay. This is a really long game. I generally spent around 2 hours in each level, and most of the time, I didn't even get half of the shit done. Like I said before, the levels are maze-like, and they're filled with so much shit. You backtrack to get a different character to open a door, but find a new place to go with the character you're already playing as. So you go and do that, which leads you somewhere else, and a few hours later you arrive back at the original door you wanted to open. That is arguably a good thing, but it's not because this game is donkey ass. Each level also seems to have some sort of gimmick. Gloomy Galleon has you go into various narrow dark areas with each Kong. Fungi Forest has a day-night switch which opens and locks certain things within the level, and Creepy Castle is a giant spiral with lots of areas inside the castle. That is actually my favourite level in the whole game, because it goes in a fucking circle and it flows perfectly. All of the teleport pads are in the perfect places and it just works, so it makes me wonder how they fucked everything else up. Most of the golden bananas you earn come from completing stupid mini-games.
Welcome to bonus stage.
At first, I thought these were all different, but most of them repeat, getting harder each time you have to do them. And these are all pretty shitty. Trying to shoot shit, sucking at bullshit races, Mario 64 slides, acid trips a la Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and this one which gives me PTSD of this fucking thing. You always get so close and then bang, try again from the start. Some of these also fuck you over if you fail. The voice says get out and then you get the shit shot out of you. Too bad I was lost in the middle of this fucking pitch black maze, you fucking shitbird. You've also got these K rule pads that take you to a survival minigame where Tiny Kong gets fucking destroyed. All that you get from completing these is a crown. Another collectible!
Huh? Get it because it's a fucking collectathon!
Oh, and what the fuck is this? I can't climb the ladder. What the fuck is this? Oh! You've got to go to the other side where there's a greater risk of falling off and having to do this all again. If I can't climb it, then why does it look like a fucking ladder? Just trying to navigate areas can be a bitch. There is this part where you're on a moving pirate ship, but your character doesn't move with it, making the most mundane task of slamming a button a fucking chore. In this same level, there is a part where you need to climb a tower with moving platforms. The platforms will get out of sync, Donkey Kong will get stuck on stray polygons, and when I finally made it to the top, I have to pull this lever that requires me to stand here, right next to the edge of the platform. Well, that went perfectly. What a great landing! N64 out of 10! It's just a joke. 3D games like this have trouble with depth perception. It can be hard to judge where you're going to land and where things exist in the space around you. The amount of times I miss barrels or jumps because I can't see where I'm going to land is just ridiculous. It's just so frustrating trying to play this game, and it's mainly because of control, the thing that's hardest to explain. And even though I've been raving on about it for the entire video, the game isn't bad. It's just not good because of these issues. And now, 11 hours into the game, I find a fairy that gives me a camera and wants photos of any other fairies I can find. So now I need to collect these fucking things and keep up with each Kong's amount of film that's required for the camera!
You know what? I'm fucking over it. Fuck this game. It's fucking terrible.
So it's time for the final level, and it's a shit show of course. Depending on how many blueprint pieces you have, Snide can get you extra time to complete the level with the maximum of 50 minutes. I only got 20 minutes and it's doable in that, so why bother? Just give me 20 minutes. It's essentially a marathon of using each character's abilities to shut down the machine. Completing this sees K. Rool get away and the Kongs open a room where they find the final key to K. Lumsey's cage. It's behind a locked door with two logos on it, Rare's logo and the N64 logo. And then the game says, huh, dumb fuck, you clearly don't remember something you were probably told about 18 hours ago. Go and see Cranky, you idiot fuck. So we go to see Cranky and he forces us to play another Rareware game known as Jetpack. You need to get 5,000 points and then you get the Rareware coin. This is a hard little game, but holy balls is it fun. The short time spent playing this shat all over the entire experience of DK64. So time to take the coin back to the door and nothing. This was so jarring that a walkthrough was required. It turns out that you also need a Nintendo coin, unlocked by playing the original Donkey Kong arcade game in Frantic Factory. I already had a go at this, but I didn't know it was required. Completing it gets you a golden banana, and beating it again on level 2 difficulty gets you the Nintendo coin. But why is all of this necessary? This shit should be reserved for harmless Easter eggs, not requirements to beat the fucking game. And the game told me nothing about the N64 coin. I'm supposed to have known that beating this game was a requirement. Fuck you, Nintendo. So finally, after about an hour of playing the original arcade game, we get a cutscene and now it's time for the final boss, K. Rool. This boss is fucking awesome. I normally bitch about marathon bosses, but when you know what you're doing, this is a great boss. And that's the game. No saving after the final boss. Another pet peeve of mine. Donkey Kong 64 is quite a tedious experience due to all of the flaws that destroy this game. Endless amounts of backtracking, a bad camera, poor level design, an oversaturation of things to remember, and a lot of cryptic fucking bullshit. Even after putting the work in, I don't feel satisfied. I felt more satisfied completing Enter the Dragonfly 100% than I did this game. And that game was worse than this. I find it funny that this game suffered from a game-breaking bug that caused it to crash randomly if it wasn't played with the N64 expansion pack. This forced Rare to ship each copy with an expansion pack, costing them a fortune.
I find it funny because the game is still a fucking disaster.
Like I said earlier on, the game is okay, but in my opinion, there is no good here. Donkey Kong 64 gets 5 out of 10. It took me 2 months to get through this game because I couldn't stand playing it. I am so happy that's done with. Now I can go die in a hole. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share. I'm Square-Eyed Jack, and have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.